regreso aquí en Auto 060, esta edición especial con el resumen del 2013. Estamos hablando con Karl Brauer de KBB.com, analizando todo lo que pasó en este año y todo lo que viene en el 2014. Y en este segundo segmento vamos a analizar exactamente qué fue lo que viene, los cambios para las compañías aquí en Estados Unidos, General Motors, Ford y algunas otras más. So we're back here with Karl Brauer from KBB.com. I've been mentioning just in general KBB.com, but you have a pretty important title over there, right?
Of course, it's hugely important. It's Senior Director of Insights, and I basically am helping build the Kelly brand and leveraging the massive level of data that this company generates from so many visitors who are shopping for cars. Obviously, we have a good sense of what's going on, whether it's vehicle sales prices, segments that are trending up and down, which regions of the country certain brands or certain models are doing well in. It's really fascinating. I've become quite the data geek. I've always been a car guy, but now I'm kind of a data geek too.
Yeah, and it's very, very important because, the business, as we were saying in the previous segment, there's like hundreds, maybe over 1,000 models sold here in the U.S., and a lot of information that consumers have to digest, and it's not easy. So great information from KBB.com. So always behind the car, there's always people. For 2014, we're going to see some changes in at least maybe two of the major manufacturers in the U.S. General Motors already announced it. Mary Barra is going to be the new CEO, the first female to lead a major car manufacturer, and then maybe there will be a change at Ford. So what's your first thoughts about the appointment at General Motors?
I think it's exciting because Mary's got this history with General Motors that goes back to 1980. She started as an intern at like 18 years old at the company. And to me, that's kind of the whole, American dream, is that you start in the mailroom, and if you work hard and show dedication and are smart and really try to learn the business well, you can sit in the corner office and wear the CEO title someday. And she's living that, exactly, that story. So that is probably the single most exciting thing to me. But on top of that, I think it's fabulous that she's just got this really rich history with the company, and she's done so many different facets of General Motors, evolution. She's everything from human resources to product development and accounting, and she's shown a real skill set in every one of those roles. And I think that's what's led to the confidence that Dan Ackerson, the outgoing CEO, and the rest of the GM board had in promoting her into this position. And I think she's going to do very well.
Yeah, I saw some postings. Obviously now with social media, everything goes spread out the news very, very quickly. And I saw some comments mainly saying maybe she spent too much time in human resources, and some people saw that as a bad thing. I think actually it's a good thing because she was more in contact with the real people, right? Obviously dealing with employee situations within General Motors, but I guess she can relate more to the real people, and that's I think a very good thing in these days in the auto industry.
No, I agree 100%, Javier. And being a people person, being people savvy, that's probably as important to being a successful CEO as having, all sorts of great business acumen, really, especially in the modern world. It started with Nixon. Everyone, has to look good on TV. Now you have to look good on the internet. You have to look good in an interview.
On Instagram.
Her history in human resources not only taught her that, I think it also probably gave her a real sense of how the departments were structured and which ones were working well and which ones maybe could use some tuning. And she's going to know how all these processes work, how the employees come in and out, and what the process is for restructuring divisions because of her human resources background. And again, I don't think you can know too much about a company when you're CEO, and lots of times you see CEOs hop from CEO of this company to CEO of that company and CEO of that company. And they can be successful doing that, and that's fine. But I just don't see a downside to being as familiar with the company as Mary is.
Yeah, she was in manufacturing. I understand that she was in work in Brazil for a while. She's been all over. And as you mentioned at the beginning of this conversation about this, she's been, for 30 years, starting as an intern. A great story. And again, I think she's going to be a much fresher image for GM, because with all due respect to Dan Ackerson, who did great, like recovering the company from bankruptcy and all that, you're right. I mean, like I think in their own way, CEOs of car manufacturers have to be like some kind of rock stars nowadays.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think being very people-friendly and interview-friendly is really important. And, you know, you were just talking about Dan Ackerson. I think he's got a lot of capabilities and skill sets. His warm fuzziness in front of the camera, or even in a taped or print interview, wasn't necessarily the best. You know, he didn't come off super well in those circumstances. So, you know, we'll see. He got the job done. He did exactly what GM needed at the time it needed it in terms of the restructuring and the focusing and the streamlining, and I think he's put the company and Mary in a great position to continue the momentum that GM has now got going.
So should we drive from downtown Detroit to Dearborn and talk about Ford now?
Yeah, let's head out of the RenCen and go up to Ford Tower 1, I think it's called, and the big glass building in Dearborn, where there's all sorts of buzz about what's going to happen in the next, probably few weeks. We just saw a report that Microsoft confirmed at least the timing, which is, they said very early in 2014 they're going to make a decision on who's their CEO. And everyone knows that Alan Mulally's on that short list. And of course, he's currently the CEO at Ford. And we now know that the board, Ford Motor Company's board, is getting very frustrated, and I think it only increased after this GM kind of shakeout, because they don't know what's going on. Nobody knows for sure what's going to happen at Ford, and now they look across town at GM and they see things are settled there now. They know who's going to be the CEO. They can get beyond that and start moving forward with other business, the business of running the company. Ford is still kind of in this, wait and see what's going to happen, and I think it's just distracting. So we'll probably know something in the next month, I would guess. I'd be surprised if we don't hear something before the end of January about what's going to happen here. And, we could very easily see a switch from Alan Mulally to someone else running Ford.
Well, there's been talk for a few years, actually, even before this latest wave of news came out, like Mark Fields, who was head of the Americas for a long time and now is basically the number one person at Ford, I think, will be the success for Alan Mulally. So what's your opinion on that?
I have a lot of confidence in Mark. I've known Mark for years. I've watched him do a lot of different roles. Again, very similar to Mary. I feel like it'll be so fitting if Mark ends up being the top guy at Ford, because it'll be a great counterbalance to what's going on at GM, and that both the people running those two companies will be longtime insiders who have a lot of experience, not just in the industry, but at that specific company. And Mark will be very similar to Mary in that respect. Rich history. He ran Mazda, which was interesting for a while. When Ford had a controlling stake in Mazda, he ran that company out of Japan. He's run the Americas for years. I think he was a key contributor to the forward plan, as they call it, the way forward plan, which is what Alan came up with for Ford when they really needed some direction and focus a few years ago. So you look at him, his history, and what he's been doing, and I suppose somebody else could get the role, and there's definitely other high-level people that are talented and capable at Ford, like Jim Farley and Heinrich. Those are great guys, but I think it's just obvious that Mark has been put on the track to be that role, and I think he's going to get it. Yeah,
whoever gets it is going to be. Ford is doing great, but whoever gets the CEO job at the Ford Motor Company is going to be having a tough task with Lincoln, no? Because I think they're still, even though they come with great product, they're still struggling to really relaunching that brand.
Yeah, and Lincoln, it's a process. It's always a long process when you're going to try to do what Lincoln needs to do. And to me, I think Cadillac is a perfect, kind of predecessor or example of what Lincoln has to do. 10 years ago, 12 years ago, I guess, because the CTS came out in 2003, and that was the first really dedicated rear-drive, forward-thinking Cadillac product in too long. And before that, it was a lot of the badge engineering that the whole company had been suffering from. And, it wasn't like they came out with that in 2003, and in 2004, everyone thought Cadillac was the greatest brand. Cadillac is just now really achieving world-class, product and respect across their model line. And that's 10 years. It was real move. And Lincoln hasn't even launched, in my opinion, a dedicated, serious luxury platform. They're still all Fords with chrome. The MKZ is a Ford with the chrome and some different body panels, but it's still a Ford Fusion underneath there. And, not that the Ford Fusion is a bad car, not that the MKZ is a bad car, but it's not world-class luxury stuff. And Lincoln needs to do that, and it's not going to happen overnight. And I think and I hope everyone at Ford realizes that. They're going to come out with the MKC, their small SUV soon, which is basically a Ford Explorer a Ford Escape with changes to the body. But it'll sell well because that market segment is on fire right now. Everyone's buying small SUVs and premium small SUVs. So the numbers will grow for their volume. That won't be the issue. The issue is to have that kind of world-class image and respect, and that's going to take a while for them to get there.
Yeah, it's amazing. They are investing at least for now $1 billion with a B to trying to relaunch Lincoln. So we'll see what happens. So Karl, we have another couple segments. In the next one, we're going to talk about what you like and you didn't like maybe in 2013 and what you're expecting to see in 2014. So we're talking to Karl Brauer from KellyBlueBoo.com, and we'll be back in another segment with him. Don't go away.